buy equipment, and you can cast a tie low. And I would say something outrageous, maybe self-serving. I was a pretty powerful United States senator, and fairly well respected. And he said, "How much time you need?" I said, "I don't need any time." He said, "Well, go home and talk it over with your family for me, will you, Joe? I'll give you an answer in 2 days." Well, my family and my deceased son, who was the most popular elected official in my state and a war hero, decorated, spent a year in Iraq, and as a civilian spent a year in the Justice Department in Kosovo, strongly argued that I do it, and my wife did. And my mother, by the way, was the kicker. My mother was then 92 years old, living with me. And we're on the porch, we're discussing this, and I turned to my mom, I said, "Mom, you haven't said anything. What do you think, honey?" She said, "Joey, now let me get this straight. When you were 14 years old and they desegregated the neighborhood Linfield, and I told you not to go down there and stand with the black family who was on their porch with them because you might get in trouble, and the police arrested you and brought you home for your own safety." I said, "Yeah, I remember that, Mom." She said, "Then I remember when you got, you were the only white employee in the east side of Wilmington, Delaware as a lifeguard for a couple of years." I said, "Yeah, Mom, I get it." She said, "You had that great job at Suburban Pool." And I said, "Yeah, and then you came home, Mom, the city was burned down, and you had a great job at the oldest law firm in the state, and you quit and became a public defender." I said, "Yeah, Mom, I get it. What's the point?" She said, "Now let me get this straight, honey. The first black man in history has an opportunity to win the presidency, and he said he needs you to win Pennsylvania, Ohio, and a couple of others. You told him no?" Some of you may remember my mother because she was featured in the first convention, and anyway, my mother was incredible. But what Barack asked me, did I have any conditions that, for the job? How did I think it should work? And I had gone to some other vice presidents and said, what would you recommend? And there were a couple basic things, but the one condition I asked, and I said, I want to be the last guy in the room. And I don't want an assignment. And Al Gore had an assignment. He did an incredible job in the environment, which is self-evident. He had one area of major control and interest. And I said, I don't want that. I've worked my whole life to try to impact on policy. You're president, I'm going to be vice president, but I want to be the last guy to be able to make a case to you privately. And he kept that commitment. And because the presidency, everything lands on your desk but locusts these days. If you're smart, and Mike Pence and I talked about this, he came to ask me my advice about the vice presidency after he was elected. The reason the president said he wanted me is to help him govern. So when he gave me an assignment, he just gave me an assignment. I had full, and everybody knew I had his full authority. For example, when the team came in, the Secretary of State, Defense, National Security Advisor, etc., 4 weeks in, came in and said to the president, "We now have a plan how to rationalize what you said about Iraq with our policy, and we want to present it to you." And we sit in chairs like this, and he leaned over and he said, "No, Joe will do Iraq." He never said that to me. He said he knows it better than you guys do, and work with him. He never once came back and asked me, "Did you do this, that, or the other thing?" Because I had a lot of experience, he had confidence in me. And he gave me the authority. And quickly everybody realized, well, wait a minute, this really is. He does have authority. Or when he had me do the Recovery Act, which was 800, and I made the mistake of slipping him a memo when we had lunch about how we should handle the Recovery Act, which ended up being $35 billion spent in 18 months, by the way, with GAO and every other outside group saying less than 1/10 of 1% waste or fraud in that effort. The single largest expenditure in American history for stimulus. And he said, just do it. If you think back, you never heard him once speak about the Recovery Act. And everybody knew, so I called cabinet meetings. The first cabinet meeting I called said, "This is what I want done, I want us to do." And one cabinet member, who was a good guy, said, "I don't think that's a good idea." I said, "Look, Charlie, do exactly what the hell I tell you, or go see the president." Not a joke. Well, guess what? He did exactly what I told him. Because everybody knew I had the president's support. The same way with the moonshot. we've made great progress, and I'd love to, wish I could just come back and talk to you just about cancer. But when that was done, there was a major cabinet post, and I said, when are you going to fill the sub-cabinet post in a meeting I had of all the entities in the federal government having to do with cancer research? And this particular person said, by the end of the year. I said, it's March the 4th, it's 9:15. If you don't have it filled by April 1st, you're fired. We knew I could fire him. So that's how he empowered me. And it made it very worthwhile. And I never once, the other part of being vice president, and it's your job. One of the reasons I didn't want it initially. You have to have the president's back. You have to be the guy willing to jump in, or the woman willing to jump in front of the train. And so when we disagree, or when we have a problem, I'd never disagree with the president, even in front of the cabinet or National Security Council. I'd wait till I got to the private meeting in the office as the last guy in the room and say, Mr. President, I think you're wrong or right. 10, 12% of the time, he'd change his mind. Other time, we'd be in a position where we'd reach some compromise. But it ended up being, as now, because of all the memes, we became really very close personal friends. Because it's all based on trust. Trust. And I never once didn't back him up. The deal we had was, if I have a fundamental disagreement based on a matter of principle or a moral judgment, I'll develop prostate cancer. No, I wasn't joking. And those who know me, ask your representatives, Democrat or Republican. I meant it. I would not stay, but I would not ever take issue. And so it worked. And it was and it was all because of his confidence in himself. Think how much confidence it takes to take 20% of the foreign policy portfolio and hand it over. Did you ever hear the president talk about Ukraine? Or the Northern Triangle? Or the situation in Iraq in any detail? That was my responsibility. And it freed him up. And so it turned out to be, but again, it's all because he was confident in himself. And the second thing I think that made it work was, I'm 19 years older than he was. No, I really mean it. It would have been very difficult, we were the same age. Because it's very hard for a president to yield some major piece of responsibility, because then the concern is, will the vice president get the credit? Does it undermine the stature of the president? But if you notice, you never heard me go out and take any credit for it, because that's my job. And so it ended up being the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my public life because of him.